Welcome, everybody. We are on an all new Beyond the Barricade, and we are live right now. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on my special guest tonight, Sunday, whatever. Welcome, Ty Thomas. How you doing?
Hey, hello everybody. Good. How are you guys doing? I'm looking forward. I'm really happy to be on.
We're lucky to have you on the show. Yeah. Whoa, you went a little dark on me a little
Yeah, I
bit.
know. I don't know what that. I think the sun is starting to set over here, so I'll have to get a light on here so we can. Let me give me 1 second here. Get
Sure, no
a light
problem.
going here so we can. In case that happens again, we got light. We got light.
All right, awesome. All right, let's start off the show with how did you fall in love with this wonderful world that we call wrestling?
Man, so that goes back to the time I was about 2.5, 3 years old. I'm the first of four boys, and my mom is her brothers were wrestling fans. So we were at home one night. My dad was out working, and we were flipping through the channels. We were kind of just laying there in our one bedroom apartment and flipping through the channels. You know, none of the children's shows I watched during the day were on anymore, and wrestling caught her eye, so she stopped for a second because she knew it from her brothers watching it, and I took a liking to it. I guess as something I don't know what it was that got my attention. And
Uh-huh.
when she flipped off of it because she was like, "Well, I don't have any interest in it, and you're 2 years old, you're not going to pay any attention." I cried, I whined, I wanted her to go back. So she went back to the wrestling, and I sat there for the whole 2 hour Monday Night Raw that we found, and
Nice.
I don't think I missed an episode from there on out. It's a wild thing to think about that started 27 plus years ago, but here
Crazy,
we
right?
are. Yep.
What were some of your favorites growing up watching?
So when I was little, Shawn Michaels was my guy.
That's my
And
guy.
then, yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, still is, I'm a big fan of his.
Me too.
Anytime I get a chance to watch, him and Mick Foley, Mankind at Mind Games. I mean, you can't pull me away from that TV for that whole match.
Right.
It's one of my all-time favorite matches. And then, he gets hurt in '98 and he's gone after WrestleMania. So from there, Stone Cold, another D guy from that
Right.
era, the '90s, early 2000s.
Right. Right.
I was always a DX guy. Triple H is still one of my all-time favorites too. All of his recent work, his '90s work,
Right.
his Hunter Hearst Helmsley stuff, everything that Triple H has done. I'm a big fan of. So those would probably be my three. I grew to like Undertaker as got older. When I was little, you couldn't keep me in a room when he was making his entrance. I'm sorry that my light keeps going
Yeah,
out
I
here.
keeps going in and out.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let me see if this helps.
No worries, no
Um,
worries.
so you couldn't keep me in a room when Undertaker was coming out. The dark, all of that. I was 5, 6 years old. That terrified the hell out of me.
Right.
I was not a fan. I grew to like him later when he became American Badass and everything and didn't do all the the
The dark
supernatural stuff.
stuff, yeah.
But yeah, right.
Awesome. Did you ever get to meet any of them?
Oh, not during that time when I was a kid. The first wrestler I remember meeting was Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh,
So my dad worked in the town. Worked for the township
uh-huh.
that we were living in at the time, and there was a skate park or something like along those lines that was opening up
Right.
in the town. And I guess like Slim Jim was there as a sponsor or representative, so they sent Savage there as a spokesperson for Slim Jim. And my
Right.
dad ended up working the event, and he called the house and he was like, "You need to get Ty ready. I'm coming to pick him up, and
Right.
Macho Man Randy Savage is here. He's got to meet him." Um, and I mean, it was summertime. I wasn't in school. I was out in the backyard. My mom pulled me inside. My dad
Right.
came and picked me up, and I had nothing. I had nothing to get like signed. Or I took a picture with
Oh,
him, and he signed the tank top I was wearing
right.
on my shoulder. So
Nice.
from that, like that, I took that tank top off. I packaged it up, and anytime I would go as a fan, would go to a convention or was meeting somebody, like
Right.
that's what I got signed from people because of that
He's
experience.
a macho. That's
So I
awesome.
mean that has like front and back covered now. With the guys that do the convention circuit, pretty regularly, like Bret Hart's on there, the Hardys, the Dudleys,
Right.
all those guys. So, as a kid, that was the experience. Now, when I was getting older, I did end up meeting Sean at a convention, which was really cool. Yeah, he really nice guy. I know he gets that bad rap sometimes from his from that era, but to see the 180 and to get that other side of him, to meet him in person is pretty cool, and it was a lot of fun.
Right. Serena says that's a cool story.
Yeah.
And she says hello.
Hello.
That is a cool story. I got to meet Triple H.
Oh, so yeah, that's one. If I'm gonna meet Triple H, I'm hoping it's just as a boss employee, like that's the end goal there. But just to meet him once would be really cool, because like I said, he's my if I'm as an adult, as not as a child watching it, from just a fan's perspective eyes, from a business perspective as well. Now, he's probably an all-time favorite. So to be able to meet him would be a dream come true. Yeah, for sure.
It was a dream come true when I was younger, man. Let me tell you, I had to wait on the freezing cold. It was the winter when he just came back from his quad tear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the city, and I'm like, oh, I'm free. I was out there for I think 6 hours freezing.
Oh man! So was that at MSG when he comes back right before the Rumble? Or
yes, yes. It was before MSG. It was at the restaurant when they had the restaurant in the city.
Oh yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was such an honor. He signed one of my belts that I had at the time.
Yeah, that is really
actually
cool.
I still have it.
Right. Yeah, you got a very, very select babyface Triple H run there.
That's right.
Few and far between in that era, so that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump into. All right, you grew up, you love wrestling. What made you decide to become a wrestler? Well, actually, we know why, but what made you finally decide, hey, I'm going to do this? And then where did you go train, and who were some of your mentors during that training process?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like I said, that once I got hooked on it, there was one thing that I wanted to do, and it was this. There was nothing. I have a 9-to-5 office job. Like I have all that, but like if WWE, AEW, Impact, any of these companies called tomorrow with a contract, it would be drop everything and relocate. That's the end all be all for me.
Right.
So getting hooked on it. I eventually ended up having 3 younger brothers who also were fans. So we did the normal brother thing. We all picked a guy and we would wrestle in the living room or outside and on our deck or whatever, and we'd have a ball, and they eventually fall off of it, and I stayed a fan my whole life. So as I got older and I get closer to that that 18-ish age where a lot of schools will accept you as a student to train and do this professionally and as real as it is, I started researching schools from the southwestern New Jersey area. So just type in South Jersey wrestling schools and you get a whole bunch of them. Monster Factory pops up. Now it's H2O, but the company that started in the H2O building, it was Old Time Wrestling, OTW. So I actually went to college about 10 minutes from where the H2O OTW building. And my girlfriend, who's now my wife, we were both going to school together, and she was doing her extracurricular activities at college, her sorority and all the stuff she was involved in. And I kind of wasn't finding my footing at school like I thought I might. I wasn't in a frat, or I wasn't in any like clubs or anything like that. I was just kind of going to class and coming back to my dorm room. And she eventually looked at me and she was like, I'm going to be doing all this kind of stuff and not around as much. Like, that wrestling school you've talked about since we were in high school is 10 minutes down the road. So like, if you're ever going to give this a chance and then do it, you kind of get off your butt and do it, kind of gave me the kick in the pants that I needed. So that next weekend they were running the show on a Saturday. I showed up and I talked to the guy in charge, old ECW referee Jim Molyneux. He owns the company. So I talked to him. Their head trainer was the Mecca, Brian Johnson. He's done some stuff with Ring of Honor, now with MCW, and kind of all over the Northeast. He was their head trainer at the time. So I talked to those two, and they said, yeah, we train on these days. Show up one of those 2 days. We'll both be here. We'll set you all up, and we'll get you started. And that following, I think it was a Tuesday, I showed up, and haven't looked back since. I trained at OTW for it was about 11 months before I had my first match. Like I said, Brian was the head trainer. Justin Pusser was another trainer. He trained under Matt Bourne, the original Doink the Clown. Adam Chandler was another trainer there. They were the three that really helped kind of mold me a little bit. Yeah, there were other guys that would run the training. One of the H2O's standard guys that's on all of their shows. Eddie Hawkins, he was another guy. He trained us pretty well every Wednesday or so. He would run the class. So those were four guys that really helped put everything together for me and get me as ready as I could have been for that first match. We took it from there, and the ball's been rolling downhill ever since.
Okay, awesome. H2O is having a competition with NYWC out here in Long Island for Psycho Circus.
Oh, are they? Okay, yeah. So
yeah,
see, I know they were running a lot. They would rent the building from us a lot. So that was a lot of my early work that I would do before I was getting matches was helping out with them. Running their ticket sales and all the stuff that you do when you're breaking in to help out. So I got familiar with a lot of those guys. I met Matt a couple of times. Very nice guy. Never a bad experience meeting him. He was always super nice. It shows because their shows are always packed. They're doing really well. And they took over the old building. So I wish them, nothing but the best. I hope they have the continued success because a lot of the guys that were coming in to OTW right before, we closed up shop, ended up staying and training with Matt. So, I love seeing them succeed, and I love being able to see them grow and kind of carry out what OTW was doing when I got there.
Right. Okay. Awesome. All right. Now you're gonna have your first match. You're done training. What was that experience like for you, being a wrestling fan?
Yeah.
And who was your opponent?
Okay, so it was nerve-wracking. The training at first was nerve-wracking because we started doing the basic stuff. There wasn't a lot of in-ring work. It was a lot of working on the outside, getting your feet right, footwork and chain wrestling because I wasn't an amateur wrestler in high school or anything like that. So a lot of that was new to me. And then you start getting in the ring, you're getting thrown around, and you're bumping, you're running the ropes and everything like that, and you're sore, and you think about doing that for however long the training is, an hour or two, and then trying to condense all of that into an 8 to 10 minute match and telling a story and all the things that go into putting a match together. It's pretty nerve wracking. I was lucky enough that I debuted. OTW would always run right around the Thanksgiving time. They would run a 6-man tag tournament show. So every match on the card was a 6-man tag team match. So I was on a 6-man tag in that tournament. So I was helped a lot. I didn't have a chance to really get lost or shuffled or, it was very controlled. I was protected very well. I was both the Eddie Hawkins and Adam Chandler were my partners in the 6-man tag. So it helped calm the nerves a little bit having two of your trainers there to kind of get you through that. And, you're in front of a live crowd for the first time. They put a microphone in your hand to introduce you as a team, one after the other. So having them there and giving them the look and the nod of approval that everything was going all right, it helped out a lot. We ended up winning the tournament too. So it was a fun, little day. It was on my 22nd birthday or something like that. I don't remember how. Yeah. So it was like their birthday present to me. Here's your first match. Go out there and have fun.
Have fun. That's right. Did you have any family there to see you wrestle that night?
Oh yeah, my whole family was there. I had some friends come in. They were going to two of them were in the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. They had the weekend off, so they ended up driving up for it. My whole family was there. It was a lot of fun. but I thought it might help the nerves a little bit, being able to do it in front of people that I know, and it just made it worse. Yeah, right. It just made me even more nervous because you don't want to mess up in front of your family, because they're the ones that are they'll bring it up to you all the time. So
that's right.
It was a good time though. It was like I said, we made it through. I think the show went really well. It was a good time. It was a good show, and it was a good way to kind of ease your way into. It was probably the easiest way to get started in matches and having that experience in front of live crowds.
Awesome. Now, were you guys faces or heels?
We were faces. Yeah. We set the story was set up real well. I was reffing at the time for OTW. That was my work at the time. I was to get me some reps there too, because the more you're experienced in, the more training you have, the better. So I'm reffing at the time, and we set the story up where I'm just getting pushed around a lot as a ref by all the heels. Finally have enough, you know what I mean? And then, surprise, surprise, here comes, Ty Thomas making his debut as a wrestler on the six man as Adam Chandler and Eddie Hawkins' tag team partner.
That's awesome. So, yeah. Tell me about a gimmick match that you were involved with that was your toughest.
Going back to my trainers, as OTW was wrapping up and they kind of knew they were shutting down shop at the old building, we were booking and then promoting our last event, and we were setting up a tag team championship match. Brian Johnson, Justin Putzer, they were tagging as One Mean Team at the time. I was tagging with another student of theirs, and we were working consistently. We had done a bunch of matches. We had a singles match, then we had a 2 out of 3 falls match, a 30-minute Ironman tag match.
Oh wow!
And it was
I haven't heard that 30-minute Ironman tag match.
It was a lot of fun. It was very cardio hit. You got to be cardio.
Yeah, you got to be
cardiovascular. I don't even know if that's a word, but your cardio's got to be good. Is what I'm trying to.
Your cardio's got to be good. That's right.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So we had a series of those matches, and it led and it finished up with a ladder match at the last show that we were having. So, and that was my first time really getting to do anything like that. So not knowing what to expect. You get slammed on that ladder the first time, or went through a table on a throw and drop, on the outside, falling off the ladder, getting pushed off the ladder, just stuff you don't really do. You could walk in and into whatever. You can do bumps and all that kind of stuff and be all right, but you slam on a ladder and it's a whole different, you take that bump,
a whole different ballgame.
Different. Yeah, right, exactly. So it was tough. It was definitely more sore than normal the next couple of days. But yeah, that was probably the toughest. I haven't really done too much like that since, gimmick match wise. Right. I think I've been in one other ladder match, but it was like a 6 or 7 man ladder match. So there wasn't as much. Right. Everyone's putting their stuff in and their ideas into the match. So you, when you're not the singular focus, like in the tag team match, when it was just us, there's not as much that goes into, bumping on the ladder or going through tables or coming off the ladder. That one was definitely, the toughest. That was, OTW Soul Survivor in 2018. Yeah. That was probably the toughest,
Well, this is going to lead to my next question. What type of gimmick match do you want to be in and why?
So I've always wanted to be in a steel cage match. That was, the story with steel cage matches, no one getting in, no one, getting out, it was one-on-one. That was the ending to all feuds, old school wise. And that's kind of how I was trained, was old school booking, old school, professional wrestling. So to be able to eventually blow off a major feud, a long-term story in a cage match would be something that I would really, really want to do. And if that ended up being like a career versus career match or something along those lines, and that's how it all ended, man, I couldn't think of a more perfect way. That's the ending that I would want if I could write it myself. You know,
Right.
if I could pick the way that the Ty Thomas wrestling story ends, it would
Right.
be some kind of long term story finishing and wrapping up inside of a steel cage match.
Okay.
So yeah, throwing it out there. You know, anyone that wants to,
Throwing it out there. That's right.
anyone who
Anybody
wants,
wants to book
yeah,
it.
right, yeah, right. That's the thing that about talking into existence or manifesting it. Yeah, there we go. I'm throwing it out
Right.
there now, nice and early in 2023. So let's get to work.
Who has been your favorite opponent you've had so far?
Oh man. I'll tell you the stuff that I did with One Mean Team. We worked a lot of singles matches. Me and Brian, me and Justin. Valiente was my partner from OTW. The tag stuff that we did. That ladder match that we had is my all-time favorite that I've had. The Iron Tag match that we did is also up there. A lot of that stuff is I hold that real close to the heart because it's the first real story that I was able to be involved in. And it was with, the two guys that trained me and helped me. And one of my really good friends in the business. The four of us got to get together and put a lot of good stuff out there and a lot of really good matches, a lot of good storytelling. So all that stuff has been great. My more consistent booking now at a place called UWA Elite. We just wrapped up a 6 or 7 month story. Me, Lucas Finnegan, and Sean McNellis surrounding one of their titles, the Ironman Championship, and a lot of the stuff we were able to do in that story and in that time frame was a lot of fun for me. I would hold a lot of those matches up. If you were to ask me, it's tough to put, to pick one out of the bunch. We did a 90s throwback show with UWA, and we got to work a triple threat as Attitude Era superstars. So, Lucas Finnegan was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Sean was The Rock. I got to be Triple H. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, we got to throw a lot out there and have a lot of fun with that one. So for different reasons, the ladder match for certain things, would be an all-timer of mine. That triple threat is another one for a completely different reason, just because of how much fun it was being able to go out there and emulate our idols.
Awesome.
Same thing with same thing with UWA. I had a match with the previous Ironman champion, Eddie Thomas. So when I came into the UWA, there was always that running joke that, oh man, he's going to join, Eddie Thomas, and his tag team was a heel team, Team Thomas. He's going to join at some point. He's going to join at some point. So when we finally got to work a little program together for the belt, and we ended up blowing it off with a no DQ match. It was a lot of fun. Another one that I would hold up, in high regards, just because, like I said, old school in me, I love telling stories. I love being able to do programs where they run consecutive months or however, consecutive shows, depending on what the booking is for the company. Showing up every month with a different opponent, can get, a little tiresome. You want to be able to get in there and put something out there that the audience can be invested in. And I feel like we've been able to do that at UWA for the last couple of years. So this one that I just wrapped up with Sean and Lucas, and before that with Eddie, was some of my favorite work that I've done recently. And, I look forward to being able to do more of that with UWA coming up. But yeah, to pick one match, if you're going to put me on the spot like that, it's got to be the ladder match with One Mean Team and me and Valiente. That's probably my all-time favorite that I've had to this point.
Awesome. Is there any independent wrestler that you want to wrestle against that you haven't wrestled?
Oh man. I don't set the list. Like, I'm not one to sit down and set a list. And it's tough to pick what you mean by independent at this point, because there are AEW guys that are allowed to work independent shows.
Right. I mean, nobody who's really an AEW mainstay. You know what I'm saying? Because I heard now
right.
NXT
Yeah. No.
would be
For
allowed
sure.
to do stuff.
Right. That's what I mean. So like the term of independent is probably going to evolve within the next couple of months, next year or two. But I mean, there's a lot of guys just in like the Northeast that would be really fun to work with. There's a guy who comes through UWA and he works with House of Glory, and he's kind of all over. He's been on AEW Dark. Joey Silver, Sweet Cheeks, he works UWA a lot. He's got great character behind him. He's great, connecting with the fans. He tells a great story when he's in there, no matter who he's in the ring with. If I had to pick one guy, I would love to work with Joey Silver. We got to work once in a 6-man tag for PPW in Pennsylvania. But I would love to do that again, but as a singles, maybe with a story behind it,
Right.
get a couple of month program behind that. I think we could have a lot of fun and really, really tear the house down. I think Joey Silver would probably be my pick. I've always wanted to wrestle him in a one-on-one, so that I'm going to go with Joey Silver. I think that's a safe pick.
Okay, that's a good point you bring up, that you believe that independent wrestling is going to change within the next few years.
Yeah, I think with this whole, there's that rumor. I don't know how set in stone it is yet, but certain NXT talent, being allowed to work certain independent shows. I think it's really going to change what independent wrestling really looks like. Yeah, right. I think it's going to be good in some aspects, maybe not so good in others. I know the independent thing to do, when WrestleMania weekend rolls around, is to be there and try to get booked on, all those shows, right, and as many shows as you can. And I think a lot of those spots end up going to a lot of this talent that are going to become, so it's right, in that aspect, it might hurt some bookings. But I think in the long term, I think it brings more eyes to the independent product and not just what's the mainstream TV product. Right. And that helps everybody. The more eyes that are on wrestling in general helps right, everybody. All the guys on TV, all the guys that aren't on TV or on the streaming services like IWTV or Fight, or the guys that just, they're out there and they're doing it on the weekends, like, at places that run in the same town, and and they have their group of fans. But the more people that know about independent wrestling and know about the talent that is out there, if they happen to run through that show one month, and it's just more people that come and eyeballs on the product and recognition, and that aspect helps everybody out. More money, more notoriety, more opportunity. So there's good and bad to everything, and that's what I see happening with this kind of change that we're probably going to see in the next 6 to 12 months, with NXT, AEW, all those kind of guys right, being able to work these select areas.
Right. Even Impact wrestlers are doing a whole bunch of shows.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, as much flack as they get, they're kind of innovators, because they've been doing that for a while now. They've been letting some of their guys work certain independents. Yeah. So as much flack as you want to give, an Impact product has been really good for a couple of years now. Every wrestling company is going to have their stinkers, and that for some reason that's what everyone wants to dwell on. Right. But if you really watch the product, Impact's been good for a couple of years now. So, I think they get a lot of flack, but they're trendsetters in their own way. And again, that's only going to help their guys as well. With more eyeballs being on all the products. It helps their guys
product
too.
As well. Right.
Right.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump out of wrestling for a second. Let's talk about some of your favorite hobbies, stuff you like to do outside of wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have a 1.5-year-old daughter, so that's a lot of fun for me doing. Being able to take her to a park or a zoo, or right, that's been my hobby for the last 1.5 years. Nice. is being able to spend time with her, and just being a dad. That's my favorite thing in the whole entire world.
Nothing like it.
Yeah, right. So exactly. There is nothing like it, and if I had one hobby, it's whatever she wants to do that day.
That's what it is.
Right, exactly. Outside of that, I'm play golf. Not much else that I do. I like I said, being a dad full time really takes up all of your time. So outside of that, it's pretty much everything.
Awesome.
That if I can get away, and my family is big into golf, we'll go out and we'll try to sneak 18 holes in. But you're from this area, the Northeast too. The weather is not always golf friendly. So,
not at all.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I'm not a big gamer. Like, I can play video games. That's big in the wrestling community. Is it kind of transitions. I'm not big on them. I just stink at them. So it's really no enjoyment.
Me too.
No enjoyment in there for me. Yeah, right. I'm really bad at them. So I try, but I don't last very long.
I struggle with the Lego games.
Yes, right. Yeah, no, yeah, I'm pretty bad. Any like first shooter games, anything like that? No. I can play a couple of games and then I get very, very angry very quickly at them because I'm just getting beat up real good. So I give up on them pretty quickly. So I try though. I do try.
Right. Any collecting? You like to collect anything?
Outside of the normal, like I collect wrestling figures. That's probably the biggest. When I was younger, me and my brother, we were into Pokemon cards and like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and that kind of stuff, like the normal, the big trends in the early 2000s. We were avid in it, whenever we can get our hands on a pack or two, that was what our big collections was. Baseball cards, another thing. But as I grew up, it was more wrestling figures. I still have a big Tupperware tin of all of my original, like, out of case figures.
Wow.
And then as I grew up, I ended up recollecting them and keeping them in the case. So, that's probably the biggest thing that I'm a collector of, is the wrestling figures and really wrestling, like, memorabilia as a whole. I got a whole box full of like old wrestling magazines, programs, pictures, stuff like that. That's probably what my most enjoyable collection to add to and to complete.
What was in regards to wrestling figures? You collect some of the AEW ones?
So a lot of what I collect, I try to go like older.
Okay.
Yeah. So like
the WWE Superstar line and stuff like that.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So like I have a couple complete sets from that, like that mid '90s. When like figures were starting to kind of get their ground a little bit. I've been trying to get the LGN, the big ones, but they're there's a nice price tag on a lot of those. So yeah, there's that needs to be I hit the lottery kind of
right collection. That's
right. Hit a Powerball and then add to that. But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, wrestling figures nowadays, the look of them is really cool. But I just am that '90s kid who's very much into that era of figures. So I try to stick in there. I got away from it a little bit. I would like to get back into it. But for now, it's a '90s theme. '90s, early 2000s. The stuff that I grew up with. To be able to, because I don't remember what any of the packaging on any of those looked like, or I know in the '90s a lot of them came with accessories. I don't remember what any of them were. So I ripped them open and I started playing with them the minute I got them. Yeah, right. So
I remember the Vince McMahon with the Titantron.
Right, exactly. I had a whole bunch of them. Yeah, right. I would love to have Titantron in its case, with Vince McMahon, and yeah, right, exactly.
That might be a grail for me.
And then I've looked them up, and they're you might as well get an LGN. Yeah, they're expensive.
I bet they are. I'm big into figures and Funkos.
Yeah, so Funko's another one. One of my brothers is also into those, so we would collect those from time to time together. Not as much, but yeah, I've got a couple of them, more wrestling related than anything. Right. That's kind of my, that's all I really know. I don't, I'm not a big like Marvel superhero guy. Like I understand, and I've seen some of it, and I have some collections of that, but it's more wrestling based than anything. For me, yeah, but no knock on anyone who is, because I think that Marvel stuff is cool too. The movies that I've seen and what I've read and everything like that is really, really cool. It's just not top priority for me.
There's a Cody one coming out soon in a couple of months. A Walmart exclusive Funko, yeah.
And that's
I'm
gonna sell.
excited for
They're
that one.
never gonna be able to keep that on shelves. Yep, that's
No,
gonna be
definitely
something
not.
that if you don't get, if you don't get that pre-order, oh, you're gonna be waiting for months, or you're gonna have to buy it secondhand and
That's right.
pay extra. Yep.
That's right. Especially when they make
Um,
them like exclusives to a certain store,
right.
brand, whatever.
Exactly. Yep.
They're
And
harder
when
to get.
if everything that's being put out online is true, he's gonna be the guy in a couple of months. So,
He will-
once that
yeah,
drops, it's gonna be tough. I mean, it's probably gonna be tough no matter what. But once he's head there and he's in charge, there's gonna be
it's
a
gonna
lot of
be
demand for
huge.
Cody. Right.
Yeah. And you talk about before we talked about the independent scene, how NXT is rumored to be coming into independent, as well as obviously AEW does all that. But I
Mm-hmm.
see with WWE, besides, I'm going to bring this up because I'm going to be at this event. But now they have Bitterman partnering with WWE to bring special signings outside of WWE ones. As you can
Wow.
see, yeah,
Yeah.
Cody and Charlotte going to be at the
Mm-hmm.
big horror event this March 11th, which I will also be
Yeah.
at. But that
Right.
that that and I brought it up now because it's that's a big deal.
That is, yeah, and like I said, I mean, with that rumor that NXT talent are going to be able to work independent shows, certain independent shows, signings like this, it kind of just shows that our business is kind of cyclical. We go through our ups and downs, and it kind of shows that we're in a pretty big up right now. Wrestling's getting
Right.
hot again. You can see
Absolutely.
it in the numbers. Like ratings aren't necessarily everything in this day and age because of the streaming services we have and social media. Like you can keep up on your wrestling without having to be glued to your TV from 9 to 11 or 8 to 11 or 8 to 10, whatever the time frame is. But but even ratings on cable are big again. Social media engagement is huge. Now WWE sees the opportunity to let NXT talent work independent shows, and they see that the demand is higher than it's been in a couple of years for wrestling. So, that I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked that they're allowing outside signings like that because of how big it's getting, and it's only going to get bigger. Every year WrestleMania is bigger and bigger. All Out is becoming its own thing. AEW's version of WrestleMania.
Right.
It's big. I just see it. In the next couple of years, we are going to be looking at numbers that are kind of unforeseen for wrestling, just because
Right.
of how accessible it is compared to what we had in the late '90s with the Attitude Era. They didn't have a
Right.
social media where 14 million people could watch a video of Stone Cold raising hell for 30 seconds. I wasn't there. You had to
Right.
either watch it on Monday night or catch the replay,
Whenever it came
later
out.
on.
Right.
Right, exactly. That was your chance. Otherwise, you missed it. That was it.
Absolutely.
So I think we're looking at an unprecedented time for wrestling. In a good way. With social media and as much as it can be a negative sometimes. I think in the larger picture and the grand scheme of things, it's only going to help. Especially as, like I said, All Out becomes bigger and bigger every year. WrestleMania becomes bigger and bigger every year.
Right.
WWE allows these outside signings to take place and third party vendors to have a kind of a stake in a lot of what they're doing. It just makes the wrestling product as a whole more accessible and
Yeah.
presented to a larger audience that maybe hadn't seen it in the last 10, 15 years in that mid 2000s era after all the Attitude Era guys had left, the Ruthless Aggression guys started to fade out a little bit. That weird little down period that was going on. It's starting to come up again, and it's going to come up in a big way. I
Right.
think.
Right. Another big thing that I also noticed is sponsorship packages. Now I saw for Royal Rumble, Mountain Dew sponsored an actual just match,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and obviously in the wrestling scene, sponsorship packages for wrestlers where you can sponsor a wrestler. So that's another
Mm-hmm.
huge thing that's happening in wrestling.
Right.
And
Yeah, and something that we really haven't seen since that 90s kind of era of, with WCW,
Absolutely.
they had sponsors like crazy. WWE, every pay-per-view had a sponsor to a match, or they had those little those reads in between matches for all their sponsors. I mean, I can specifically remember, I think it was like Snickers Cruncher was like the big sponsor from like WrestleMania 17 through like September of that year.
Right.
You couldn't go have any kind of pay-per-view event without it being plastered all over the place.
Right.
Same with
but
what
now
like kind of AEW.
but now it's delved into actual just matches, not even the whole event, just a match.
Right. Yeah. And like, I know there was a lot of like, kind of like back and forth on that, but I thought that Pitch Black match was really cool. It was unique.
Right.
It was different, stuff that like wrestling fans have been craving. They want different. They want to see something. Like, it may not be the best, but like, it's different. It's not your standard wrestling match, and I think we see more of that, maybe not to that extent. But I could definitely see, sponsorships for just plain matches. Like you said, certain wrestlers being sponsored by certain companies. I mean, Brock had Jimmy John's for the longest time and was able to come back to WWE with them, with their sponsorship. He was in a contract with them. So like, I could see that definitely being a real possibility for wrestling. And I mean, it all just goes back to kind of how popular wrestling is getting again, that these companies want to be able to sponsor, shows, wrestlers, matches. I mean, I can't. Mountain Dew must have been thrilled with that. There's I understand for a company like Mountain Dew, people are talking about it on on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, good, bad, or indifferent. People are talking about your product. I had no idea Pitch Black was a thing in stores until that program started, and they started with it again. So like, you got one new person, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how I'm sure that's what they wanted, and I'm sure they've got a ton of people to buy their product because they saw it there. The numbers are coming out for Royal Rumble, and they broke all these records for attendance and gates and all this kind of stuff. So to be a part of that as Mountain Dew, you're thrilled, and it just opens the door for even more of these companies to do that. And I like I said, I think it just goes back to how popular wrestling is getting again, and the upswing that we're going through. And we definitely, I think, see more of that, and on a finer scale than what we used to see in the 90s, where it was just Slim Jim plastered all over ring posts and the canvas. Like you said, sponsoring wrestlers themselves, Mountain Dew sponsoring a match. It's all unique. It's all new. And it all just kind of calls back to how popular wrestling is getting again.
I just saw Celsius, if you know what Celsius is.
Like the energy drink, yep. Mm-hmm.
They're sponsoring an independent wrestling match at Create a Pro.
Right, yeah.
Just a match, that's it. So it's
just
big, absolutely.
And, right, exactly. So I think it's, and again, I think Create a Pro, with, they have their connections with, Pat Buck in WWE, or was in WWE, now AEW. They have their connections in both. I could see like that is definitely, I think, an independent that we could see NXT talent working when that deal is, official, and they've ironed out all the details of that in the contracts for AEW or for NXT. Right. So as those talents start to come up, there's sponsorship opportunity, and they would be working through WWE. So it all kind of circles back and funnels into WWE bringing these sponsorships and these products to bigger scales, just like they're doing for wrestling at that point. So again, all signs are pointing to wrestling being as popular, if not more popular, when it comes, for the time being, or however long it lasts, being just as popular, or if not more popular than the 90s and early 2000s.
Right. We got a comment from Serena. I think that's a good thing because it also brings eyes to new wrestlers and new wrestling promotions. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And like I said, especially when you bring NXT talent who are on USA, every week. I mean, even if they're not, Braun Breaker or whoever at working, Apollo Crews, even if they're not those guys who are being featured every week and for multiple segments on a show, you might get a guy who comes out for one segment on NXT, but like he's on a segment on USA. It's for him to come out and work a 15-minute match or or a 10-minute match on your show on an independent level is huge. Same with
Huge.
AEW,
Yeah.
and they might be guys who get more opportunity on Dark and then a Dynamite appearance every once in a while, but like they're there. They have the AEW affiliation, they have the AEW tag. It just makes that bring the popularity, the notoriety, everything is there with them at that point,
Right.
and it only helps the independents that they're working. It helps the guys that are working on that show because, like Serena said, like they're more eyes. They're bringing an audience that might not even have known this independent existed until they follow their favorite wrestler from AEW or NXT to them to go watch this match, and they end up watching the whole show. And like I said, it just helps wrestling as a whole.
So, a whole, right.
Exactly. Yeah, everything about it helps wrestling on all levels.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about. I know we spent a lot of time talking about that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about ribs. Tell me about a rib you that was played on you and one that you played on someone, if you did.
Oh man.
I've heard some good ones.
Yeah. See, I don't know if man. I don't think I've got any real ribs. I don't think I got any good ones. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared for that question. I really would have to think about that.
All right, we'll save it for next time.
Next time, yeah, I'll put a lot of thought into that one, and because like I said, I have to run through. So when I was coming up, we did a lot of my trainers as One Mean Team. They were doing a lot of work with Ring of Honor. So the opportunity to hop in the car and just be on those car rides and help out was afforded to me really early. So I was in the car with them a lot. So like I'm sure if I really thought back and relived a lot of those car rides, I probably could think of one or two good ones. But on the spot right now, yeah, I'd have to really think about that. So next time, yeah, you'll have to hold me to that. Next time we'll get a rib story on here for sure.
We'll do. Ring of Honor's coming back. I heard TV tapings are starting soon.
Yeah, again, another thing that's really going to help, I think, wrestling as a whole, especially with the AEW affiliation. I mean, I think it was kind of a given that a lot of those guys, when AEW started, would get chances, just from the work they did with Cody, the Young Bucks, Kenny coming in for a little while in Ring of Honor and doing some stuff there. I think a lot of those guys, when they started the AEW, I think it was just kind of assumed they would get a shot and then have Ring of Honor to kind of continue their constant work. And then with Ring of Honor shutting down and it going to AEW, I think it gives everybody that was there that opportunity to continue to show out for a mainstream audience on a consistent basis. I think it lends a lot of opportunity. I mean, like we saw Jericho ran with the world title for a little while, and then had a killer match with he's always Cesaro to me,
yeah, I know.
Like they had,
Claudio.
Claudio, right? Yeah. They had a killer match.
Me too. He's always Cesaro to me.
Cesaro, right? It like clicks in the brain there. But yeah, like I think that just opens eyeballs to all the guys that are doing it. It's unfortunate the situation that happened with the Briscoes. Jay, they would have been killer on AEW. They would have been great. Audience would have fell in love with them just like they did Moxley. Those are the guys people want to fall in love with because they relate to them so well. They're you. Like they're just them on TV. Like that's who they are. And that's what everyone wants. They want you. They don't want some guy that's just pretending to be somebody else. So they would have been great on AEW. They would have been great in WWE or NXT or wherever they went. Just like they were great in Ring of Honor. So I think it's a good thing that Ring of Honor is doing the TV tapings again. Like I said, all of this stuff just kind of goes back to lending and being the reason wrestling is as popular as it is right now, and its continued growth in popularity that's going to come in the next 6 to 12 months. It's just all helping wrestling as a whole.
Okay. Did you ever get to meet them?
So the Briscoes, no, I was there doing a lot of the stagehand stuff, extra work, that kind of stuff. When they were doing their run with the Young Bucks, So I got to see a lot of those matches with those Kazarian and Daniels and the Young Bucks when they were kind of doing their 3-way tag stuff in Ring of Honor right before the AEW stuff took off. I was there to get to see a lot of that live, which was really cool. Some of the stuff that they do is outstanding. It's unmatched. You can't replicate it. You can try, but you're not going to. And so I never got to necessarily meet them, but I got to see a lot of their stuff up close and personal. And man, when I tell you they're really, really good, they are really, really good.
Awesome. Tell me about some of your goals for 2023.
Yeah, so 2023, right as it stands right now, like I said, I'm working consistently with UWA in Central Jersey. So some goals there. Like I said, we got to tell a really cool story and put a program together with me, Lucas Finnegan, and Sean McNellis. I'd like to continue doing that kind of stuff. Like I said, I was trained real old school, so I really like being able to tell stories and not just have random 8-minute matches every month. I like being able to come once a month or twice a month and tell these stories and have the matches kind of intertwined with that. So biggest goal is just to be able to continue doing that and putting out matches that have a story behind them and something that the audience and the fans coming to these shows can care about and really get behind. I'm not a championship or, like I said, a list setter or whatever. I don't have like a set list of people I would want to work. I want to work with everybody. I want to have the best matches every month or every other weekend or Saturday night or Sunday night, whenever these shows or events are happening. I want to have the best match on the card. So if that means I'm working with, like I said, Joey Silver or Sean McNellis or Lucas Finnegan or whoever, I want to have the best match out there. So I don't set a list. Whoever I'm working with, we go in with the same mindset. We want to have a killer match, and we want to give these people that are paying their hard-earned money to buy a ticket something they'll remember. So, that's been my mindset since I've started, and that's really the only thing I want to continue doing in 2023 is just giving everybody all that I have every show. And making the dollars that they spent on that ticket or the merchandise or even the food that they buy at the concession stand, every dollar they spend that night wasn't wasted because they came and saw Ty Thomas wrestle.
I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
From Serene. If you had your choice of where you'd want to go, where do you see yourself going? AEW, Ring of Honor, WWE, or Impact?
Oh man, well, WWE is definitely the end all be all. That's been my dream since I watched it in 1997 when I was 2.5, and if they offered me a job tomorrow, it's quitting the 9 to 5, no 2-week notice. I'm on a plane to Florida or wherever they need me. I'll send
pack your bags.
And my daughter. Yeah, they'll get a plane ticket in a week or two, and I have everything figured out. But that next day, I'm on a plane and I'm going. But WWE is kind of the land of the giants. I'm a realist. I don't stand out in an airport. That's the classic. If you listen to any of the guys that were there, right hand man for Vince. Like I'm big on the Something to Wrestle podcast with Bruce Pritchard and Conrad Thompson. Like it's one of my favorite wrestling podcasts. And they say it all the time. Vince is looking for guys that stand out in an airport. That people stop and look and be like, "Wow, what does that guy do?" That guy? Right. That's not me. I'm 6'1", 180 pounds. So like, I'm a realist, and I get that opportunity may never be afforded to me. I think Ring of Honor, AEW, Impact, they're a little more forgiving when it comes to that. They look at it more on a talent basis. So I mean, yeah, if the opportunity was afforded to me, definitely 100%, I'm there. Like I said, I think Impact gets a lot of unnecessary flack online, and it's a little underrated what they're doing down there. So if I was given the choice, I probably would pick Impact, which I know is probably going to shock a lot of people. But I really like what Impact is doing. I think a lot of the hatred that they get online is from like a different regime, a different time, and it just kind of carried over. Kind of like what every wrestling company gets, like I think a lot of fans online hold WWE to the Attitude Era standards, and refuse to accept the fact that things have to evolve and things have to
It's
change.
such change, right?
Right. So, yeah, I think if I was given the choice, take WWE out of the equation because that's an end all be all. Impact would probably be my choice just because, like I said, I think they're a little underrated on what they've got going on. And, they have all the tools to be a major player when it comes to like mainstream wrestling. So I think I would pick Impact if I had that choice. Yep.
Awesome. Tell me about any upcoming events you're going to be at.
Yeah. So UWA, they run every month at the South River VFW, starting in March. March 11th is their first show. That's what they've been doing for the last couple of years. They run once a month. Either from like February to November or March to November, depending on when the VFW becomes available. This year they're venturing out. They've got like 5 or 6 additional shows that they were able to add to their schedule. So I think in total, UWA is running about 15 or 16 shows this year. And that starts, like I said, on March 11th at the South River VFW. They also run the Middlesex County Fair for a week straight. So they get Monday to Sunday. They get their own tent. They run 3 shows a day, and then a night show at 8 p.m. on Saturday night at the fair, which is really cool. Fireworks are happening at certain points in the show. It's like if you time your entrance right, you can come out and you get your own pyro for free, which is really cool.
Awesome.
It's an awesome time. All the admission cost is to get into the fair. It's a part of that, it's a really great time because you get people who may not necessarily be wrestling fans, but they understand it. So, at certain times, if you catch it right, one of the shows, you could be wrestling in front of 150, 200 people and not even realizing it because it's just people watching. They're walking by and they stop to take a look,
Right.
and all of a sudden you look out and maybe the show starts with 40 or 50 people. And then by the time the last match is going out, you look out and there's like, holy crap, man, there is 200 and 250 people standing here watching what we're doing. And it's really cool. And the product we put out at UWA, me personally, I think is really, really good. Like I said, they're a company who really cares about the stories that they're telling, not just the matches that they're putting out there. So they're a real good one. I advise everyone to check it out if you're in the New Jersey area, South Jersey, North Jersey, Central Jersey, if you think it's a thing. I know we have fans that come from like certain parts of New York and like Long Island that come and check us out because we have guys that are from that area that come and work there every month. Okay. It's a really good product. I can't put enough good words out there for them. But they're number one right now. They're the first thing on my list for this year, March 11th. Dog wrestling in Glassboro at the Max Fit Sports Center is another one. They've got a couple of events planned for this year that I'll be on. I don't think they have any certain set dates locked in yet. They're still working on them, but I know they have 4 or 5 planned to start. So that's also on the list of shows and events that I'll be working this year.
Awesome. And where can everybody follow you?
So I'm Ty Thomas on Facebook, just as it appears on the screen there. At Twitter and Instagram, I am Ty Thomas 1022. You can follow me on both of those. Those are my only social media platforms. Messenger, all that kind of stuff is open. If there's anybody looking to book me for a show or an event or anything like that, they're open. You can reach out to me there. I believe my email for all business inquiries are also on my Twitter and Instagram. Those are my social medias. That's where everyone can contact me and reach out and keep up with all the events and everything that I'll be doing this year.
Awesome. Mike Rodriguez thinks we had a great show today.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'm glad that you
Thank
guys
you, Mike.
cared enough about me to have me on for this hour that we were on and talking and listening to me and ramble on about this crazy world of professional wrestling that we've got going on.
That's awesome. Now, Mike, if you're in Long Island, I will be at Notorious Saturday, February 11th, featuring the Notorious Mimi. Now, we're going to be giving away 2 tickets to a random viewer who can first guess the trivia question next Thursday night. So you may want to
there
stay
you go.
tuned for Thursday to find out who's going to get those 2 lucky tickets,
There
sponsored
you
by
go. All right,
VPW.
Mike, you better
So
be watching because I'm
better
looking
be
at
watching.
that. I'm looking at that poster, and I've worked a couple of shows with a couple of those the talent that are shown there, and it's a really good list. You know, it's a lot of good talent on there.
Really good time. Who'd you work with?
So I work shows with Brother Greatness. Man, I love
such a great guy.
Yeah, great character. I love it. We did a tryout camp back in Berkeley, New Jersey, at a Little League complex for a company in New Jersey. And he showed up and did it, and man, I thought it was awesome.
Did his thing.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've been on shows with Mimi before, and she just did her NXT stuff. You know, that another great one. You know, I've heard nothing but good things about VPW too. So,
awesome.
you know, just based off the talent on that poster alone, I can tell it's going to be a great show. So,
you
know,
that,
you guys
VPW?
are giving away 2 tickets. What's that?
I said, you hear that, VPW?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I promise I'm not pushing for a booking or anything, but like I said, email and DMs are open if you want to.
February 11th. They also have sponsorship packages, Ty. So
there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, right. And
that's
like
right.
you said, you know, it's all growing, and I see some really, really good things coming for pro wrestling in the next, 6 to 12 months. It could be sooner, you know, but I think that 6 to 12 month window, you know, WrestleMania to WrestleMania in this next year is going to be, we're going to see some numbers in pro wrestling that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. And I think it's going to be good for everybody.
It's going to be huge.
Yes. Yep.
Absolutely. Make sure you go to victoryprowrestling.com to get your tickets or inquire about sponsoring your favorite wrestler. And as for me, apart from that, I will be back tomorrow with Big Game Leroy Green, tomorrow night at 7:30. Make sure you come back and check us out. We will be live. And then at 8:30, we will be back with Riley Knox. 8:30. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Now, I talked about the big event, Ty, with Cody Rhodes, Edge, and Charlotte. They will be there, as well as AEW stars, acclaimed Ty Mello, Sammy Guevara, and many others. So make sure you come down on March 11th to that, and maybe they can go see you.
I was about to say, go get your autograph in the afternoon and come on down to UWA at 6:30. You know,
that's right.
It's going to be a good show.
The show ends at 3, so you can make plenty of time to make it there.
Plenty of time, right? Yeah, and I know for a fact there is a ladder match on the UWA show.
Awesome.
I don't know the participants yet. Maybe I'm in it, maybe I'm not. I don't know, but there will be a ladder match. You will be treated to a ladder match if you end up coming down to the March 11th show. So, like I said, UWA is very good with their storytelling, and their matches are always, you know, high quality. You won't be disappointed if you come. I promise you that.
Now, this month is also Papadenko's Psycho Month. Get ready for Psycho Circus. NYWC Psycho Circus is this month. And we're going to have our first NYWC guest coming up this Wednesday. Are you ready, Ty?
I'm ready. Who is it?
Joey Conway will be with us this Wednesday at 8.
There you go. Big one.
He is the Fusion champion. Look at that Fusion belt. It's a nice belt. I've seen it.
Yeah, those are both very nice belts. Yes. No. Yeah. And
they are,
you know,
nice belts.
Yeah. Right. I wouldn't want to be on with that. Yeah. That definitely is a good way to kick off the Psycho Week. Yeah. Right.
Joey's a monster. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm glad I'm on today and not on Wednesday.
I will also be at Icons of Wrestling in Philly at the Spring Flynn with Robbie Rebel as my guest.
They run a great event, Icons. They run a great event.
Mm-hmm. That's why I got on that platform.
There you go.
Yep. Spread the word of Papadenko and Beyond the Barricade.
Yeah, no, they run a great event. I went as a fan a couple of times to their convention. I know the shows that they run in conjunction with their convention are always really good and really packed up. They do a good job with the Icons of Wrestling.
Absolutely. And the promoter's a really good guy. I know him.
Hmm.
We worked together in other promotions. But at BPW, let me bring that up again real quick, Ty.
There
I
you
will be
go.
there filming the next vlog interaction featuring the 23-6 championship. Look at that belt, Ty.
That's
Who's
that's pretty nice. Did you design that yourself, or did you have some help with that?
I did not design it. My son actually had it designed. It's from Australia. It was crafted
Oh,
in
okay. There you go.
Australia. Look at that belt.
That's very nice. How do you
Well, this
compete for that belt? What is that VPW
it's
exclusive, or can anyone jump
23-6
throw their
rules
hat in the ring?
anywhere. Anywhere. It's
Anyone. All
exclusive
right.
only to my channel. It's the most coveted title in all of YouTube, Ty.
I listen. I'm down for it. Fine. Tell me when and where. I'll be there.
It's 23-6 rules. Can be defended any time,
Anywhere. All right.
23 hours a day, 6 days a week.
All
Not
right. Well,
Sunday,
I'll be
though, Ty.
watching that VPW event very closely to find out who I need to contact and who I need to take it from at some point.
Let me tell you, the current champ is the solution, but let me tell you, I don't know if Joey shows up, he's in trouble.
Yeah, no, I'll wait till he loses it, and whoever's after him, that's
That's right.
who I'm coming for.
Ty, thank you for coming on. You've been an awesome guest. I had a great time, and
Yes,
hopefully we can have you back on soon.
you have to. I owe you a rib story.
You do. Hey,
Yes,
Serena
so
says maybe Ty could prize everyone and make the new 23-6 champion.
you never know. If it's got 23-6 rules, anything is possible. That's kind of the pro wrestling mantra. So you know, anything is possible, and then you got to tune in to find out. So we'll
That's right.
see. But yes, no, I had a great time. Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. And I do look forward to being on again and getting a rib story for you guys. I owe it to you. I owe you.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being on.
All right.
And
Yes,
also, hey,
absolutely.
people keep dropping comments now. 23-6?
Oh
No,
boy.
Brandon. You were former champion. You're done. Oh, Serena brings up a good point before we go. Joey is putting his NYWC Fusion Championship on the line versus Dan Barry's career.
There you go. That's that storytelling I was talking about.
Huge.
That's good stuff right there. Don't miss
Huge.
that one.
Don't miss that one. Don't miss that one.
Right.
Dan's a good guy, too, so I don't want to see him lose his career.
Right. But you don't know what's going to happen if he ends up winning that. Yeah, right. Exactly. That's some scary stuff right there. But that's why everyone's got to be there to find out what's going to happen, right?
Absolutely. Psycho Circus coming up February 26th, I believe. It's a Saturday. Last Saturday of the month. But anyway, everybody have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a